Hi guys, welcome to a brand new video. So in today's video I'm gonna be explaining to you guys how to solve the Square-1. Now this tutorial is meant for anyone, so unlike previous tutorials I've made, this one is specifically addressed to beginners. As such, I'm gonna be explaining to my best every step. Now this is also a more intuitive approach to solving a Square-1. That is also the reason for the low algorithm count, which I propose. And as such, it might bring a different approach towards, in respect of other tutorials you might have watched or might not have watched prior to this video. So yeah, I think we should get started. Okay, so the first step is cube shape. Now, for those that don't know, once a Square-1 is scrambled, it no longer looks like a regular cube, like you saw earlier in the intro. It will look in a different manner. Now, the reason why I got it in this state specifically is this is exactly how I want you guys to bring your cube to. So you'll have it in a random state. I'll just try and get it as random as possible. There we go. And what I wanted you to do is try to bring it in the state it was previously shown. Now, how do you do this? If you take a pair of edges, so this being an edge, if you take a pair of them, so two edges next to each other, and there's three types of possible combinations they could be in. So either they're next to each other, like this, they form a pair, either they form an L, like this, like these two, or they form a line, like these two. Now, as you might have seen from the previous cube shape I showed you, so the end result you want to obtain, it's a group of pairs. So what you'll first want to do is look for all the pairs you have in both your faces and group them all together, kind of like this. Once you've done that, you'll be left with three possible cases. But right before that, there might be a chance where you have something like this. Enough chances so up here you have this kind of scenario, you don't have all pairs, and down here you also don't have all pairs. What you can do is pull down, whether it be a line or an L, depending on how you align it, in a way that it forms another pair. So how do you do that? Well, it's actually pretty simple. If you look at the line, the equator, this being the equator, forms a line. This line indicates where the slice happens. Well, you basically want to try and make it as you're bringing an edge to another edge. So you align an edge here so that when you slice it doesn't move, and you bring this edge down. So this is a line, this is a line pair. You bring it down as we don't want the line up here, and it will form a pair. Then you can bring the pair up, and you'll have your group, and you'll be left with three possible cases. The first case is the L, so you have your group up here, and you have an L. This is the worst of the three cases. It's actually good as it allows us kind of to transition in your three possible cases. So to solve the L, basically what you want to be doing is replace a pair up here with the L. So bring the L up and replace a pair. Now the pair, you'll want to actually bring it up over here. So instead of removing an L, now you remove the line. So here, as you can see, if you take these two pieces, that's the L you brought up. But if you take these two, now they're a pair. This piece can also be associated with this one to create a line. I think you should kind of get what I'm getting to. So now, instead of focusing on these two pieces, you'll focus on this piece and this piece, which form a line. Bring this pair back up, and instead of removing this down, you remove this line down now. So we have this group. Once you have a line, it's actually pretty simple. You bring this block here as when you slice, it won't be brought down, like none of these pairs will be brought down, and it'll bring these two pieces up. Now, if instead of a line or an L, you have a pair down, it's actually pretty simple. You just bring it up, and you have your group. So that is how you get to this state. Now, from this state, how do you get to the cube shape? Well, it's actually pretty simple. The first thing you'll want to do, so here it doesn't really matter, the star, but up here what you'll want to do is hold the equator line down the middle of these two corners. So these are corners. So basically when you slice, you basically have a symmetrical slice in a way, like so then I'll want you to slice, and once you've done that, these two pieces, I'll want you to bring them here, kind of the similar idea, but you also want to do that on the bottom. So you'll have this basically symmetrical slice where this and this are symmetrical based on this line. Same thing down here. Now, if you look at this cube shape, there's two symmetrical lines. There's this one and there's this one. Unlike here, where there was no line. So what you'll actually want to do is, for one of the two faces, have this symmetrical line lined up with the equator line. So we'll take this one, for example. And for the bottom, have the opposite one. If you want to make it simple, have the two corners facing the two edges. Slice again, you now have what's called as kite. And these is actually pretty simple. You basically align it as to have like basically them facing the same way. And when you slice, you'll see you'll get a cube. Now, before we get onto solving the puzzle itself, there's one quick thing I want to tell you guys. Every move from here on out, excluding algorithms, so this is all the moves you will apply intuitively yourself, will have to be done with either a top or the bottom layer misaligned. What does misaligned mean? It means that both layers are not like basically perfectly one over the other. Like you're never like this. You're always like, your cube is always slightly, the upper face is always slightly misaligned with the bottom face. It shouldn't be too complicated to explain. This means that if, let's say, I misalign the top face, every time I do a slice, it will stay as a cube. Same thing in the bottom face. Now, how do I solve the square one? Because, okay, we've got back to cube state. Now, what we're going to be doing is looking for pairs. What is a pair? A pair is a group of an edge and a corner from the bottom face. We're gonna be doing this specifically from the bottom face. Now, for my case, it's white. White is my bottom face and black is my top face. It probably is different or might be the same for you guys. It depends on what square one you have. But yeah, you'll be looking for pairs. So a bottom face color, in this case white, which has both the edge and the corner of the same color connected together. And it's pretty visual. So these two obviously are both that go on the bottom, and these two are the same, and they're the same color here. See, this is not a pair because this is blue and this is orange. These are both green. It should be pretty self-intuitive. And what you want to do is, if you have a pair, because you might not always have one, so we'll first go with if you have a pair, then we'll explain what to do if you don't have one, is look for the remaining corner to create a line, kind of a block basically. In my case, it's pretty simple to find. It's here. Here's my piece. Now, to solve it, it's pretty simple. I bring this piece to the back, and then I check the alignment. Now, if I align it like this, when I bring this up, the corner will, the edge, sorry, will stay down, and I don't want that. So I'll align it this other way around, so that when I bring this up, both the edge and the corner go up, and that creates my block. Now I'll bring this block down. So to bring it down, the alignment doesn't matter as long as this is on the right side, and then I slice down. Let's say now you have no pair at all. Like, let's ignore this one. Let's say you have no pair on your cube. What you want to do is create a pair. Now, to create a pair, it's pretty simple. You look for an edge that's supposed to go on the bottom. Let's say I'll take this one since it's the only one on top, which has green and white. I mean, if you want to bring an edge on top, it's just slice, just saying. So yeah, and you want to bring its respective corner to it, so it can be either of the two green corners. Now this one is well set up, so I'll bring it here. Now, if it's aligned like this, you can clearly see that although the corner goes up, the edge goes down, and as such, they won't be aligning together. So I want to align it this way around, so this stays up, and here's my pair created. And then I go to the same process as before, bring the corner as to when I slice, they go together, and there's my block. Now, from this point onwards, it might be useful to know what's known as the M2. So, why is it called like this? It's basically equivalent to doing an M2 on a 3x3. How is it done? Well, basically, what it does obviously, so it switches these two pieces with these two pieces, bringing this here and this here. And what you do is you align it this way, you misalign it this way, and you slice, change the misalignment, and slice again. Now these two pieces are down and these two pieces are up. This can come useful to make certain cases easier, as here, for example, if the two corners together, so instead of going through the process of creating pairs, you could just bring this here with an M2 and create your block. But for simplicity's sake, we'll be going through the process of creating a block again. So yeah, first things first. So obviously the block you brought down, you're gonna keep it on your left side, as for it not to move when doing your slices. And what you'll want to do is create your pair. Now here, the pair you want to create will be of the opposite color of the block you already created. So this is white green, which means you'll have to create the block over here, which is white blue. Green, blue, they're opposites. It's like 3 by 3. So what you'll first want to do is create your pair. So locate the blue and white edge, in this case it's here, and a blue and white corner. I'll just to make it a bit more visual, I'll separate these two. So what you want to do is, by the same method as last time, pair up the two pieces. They can be paired up at the back. The concept is still the same, and it's actually good for you if you get used to pairing stuff up with the back. It can remove some bad habits. But basically, I want this piece to go here, and I don't want this to go up on the slice. So if I were to align it like this, you would see that this piece goes up. If I align it like this piece doesn't go up, and only this corner goes down. So here are my two pieces. I bring in the third corner, same concept as usual. Create my block, move it to the side, slice again to bring it down. So yeah, I have my first two blocks. Now if you've ever solved or watched videos of Square-1, this method might be familiar to you. This is a very basic version of the Lin method, or any block building method for the matter. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out because maybe some of you who know a bit more of Square-1 or have watched videos on it might have said, hey, this seems familiar. Well, it's based off the Lin method. It's a beginner's version of the Lin method. So yeah, the next step is to insert correctly one of the two remaining edges to create a U. To create a U here. So here, as you can see, although this edge is here, these are opposites, they're not aligned, so this edge is not in its correct spot. I only want to put one edge, but there might be lucky cases where two edges go in at the same time, but I'll show them later. So yeah, we'll take this first case. This first case is you have one edge in the wrong spot, you want to bring it down. It's pretty simple. You bring this edge in front of you, like this, and misalign it this way. So this edge in front of you being of the color of the back pair. These two are red, this is red, so I want this in front of me and the red at the back. And do the M2 move I showed you guys earlier. This will switch this piece with this piece, and now you'll see that the correct one is in its slot. Now you might have an L on top. It doesn't really matter, you just ignore this piece. This piece is the one that goes back, so you bring it here, do the M2, nothing changes. The final case you might have is this one. Sorry, this one, where they're both here. Well, this is actually the best case you could have, as it will skip you a step. And you basically solve this with your usual M2. Kind of like you basically solve this piece, and the second piece gets automatically solved. Okay, so in comes the first algorithm of this method. So this algorithm basically puts this piece here. It changes a few pieces on top as well, but doesn't really matter. The important part is it basically completes the layer. So how do you do it? Well, the algorithm will be on screen right now, but it goes as follows. There you go. Okay, we're approaching the final steps, and basically the second of the three algorithms, four algorithms, sorry. So the halfway mark of the algorithms you'll need to learn. This one, basically your next objective, kind of like in 3x3 in the layer by layer method, you'll want to permute the corners. Now for this we'll be using a JPerm. A JPerm on Square-1, the algorithm will be on screen, goes like this. Now we had opposite corners here, so all I did is actually create these headlights, and you'll want to repeat this with the headlights on the back. And you'll have permuted the corners. Okay, we're approaching the end. Now there's two possible scenarios you could have. The first one is you don't have parity. To know that, you will realize that you have a PLL case that you recognize from 3x3. This, for example, is a U-perm. As such, you know you don't have parity, and you'll just have to repeat one algorithm till the cube is solved. Obviously, down the road, you can learn the rest of the EPLLs. There's only 4 of them. They're pretty easy, but this is like your complete beginner's tutorial, least algorithms as you need. Kind of like if you're starting out on 3x3. So yeah, the one EPLL you need is a U-perm to solve all the EPLLs. So you can just use that. I'll teach you, not this U-perm. I'll teach you this U-perm, but you can look up online all the other EPLLs that remain. It shouldn't be too complicated, but yeah. So this U-perm goes as follow. You hold the block in front, algorithm will be on screen. There you go. And this can basically be used for any case you get. So if you get, for example, a Z-perm, you can just do a U-perm and you'll get another U-perm. And you can just repeat that till it's solved. Okay, so finally, if you get a case that you don't recognize in 3x3, this means you have parity. Now to obviously solve parity, you'll have to do one extra algorithm. Now the algorithm I'll show you guys, because in parity there's many algorithms that solve different cases. There's a case to swap these two pieces, to swap these two pieces, and many other combinations. Now as a beginner you don't need to learn all of them, so I'll teach you the easiest one and the shortest one there is. So it goes as follows. And I want you guys to pay close attention to what happens to the Square-1, as it makes it a lot easier to learn if you try to learn it visually. And once it's back in a cube shape, this and this. And now you'll see we have a case we recognize from 3x3. So you just start doing your U-perms again. And your Square-1 is solved. Congratulations, you now know how to solve a Square-1. If you have any questions, make sure to leave them down in the comments. That's really about it. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.